Hello everyone. Welcome to the Movieception Show. My name is Fariba, and I've woken up on this early Tuesday morning because we just got the first trailer for the upcoming film Fantastic Four: First Steps. I am very excited because I believe I actually listed this as one of my most highly anticipated films of 2025 for some very good reasons. Of course, this is now the third interpretation of the Fantastic Four story, at least in the 2000s, so I'm just gonna keep it in the 2000s, which is like very close time frame in between, different versions of this team. But of course, for me, like the first time I was familiar, the first time I was exposed to this team was back in the mid 2000s. Of course, that's the Chris Evans version, where he at that time had played Johnny Storm for the first time. He had not been Captain America at this point. I mean, that wouldn't be until another 7-8 years later. But I still remember that version because that was the one, like, I don't know for any of you guys. For me, I used to watch those films all the time on the FX channel, both the original and the sequel. And so I'm very familiar with that version. It's not the greatest, but it's like you're entertained enough. So I remember just being that it was entertaining enough. I mean, I wasn't particularly wowed by it. Of course, then we had the 2015 version, with the infamous, Fantastic Four with Miles Teller and Kate Mara. There's a whole lot of production issues that were going on long before the film was about to release. Then there was a whole issue between the studio and the director. And yeah, that one didn't come out so well, right? And so what's interesting is that since then, of course, after the 2015 version, then we had the whole acquisition of Fox, which is when a lot of the Marvel characters were able to be given back to the Marvel Studios, to, of course, Disney. And now we're here today where we are now able to see a third version of this team, but quite different. This is going to be a very different version. Unlike the first two, where it does establish the origin story, we're not getting that with this version, which honestly I think is a very good decision. Just because we already know what happens. We already got the idea of how they got their powers, the radiation that they, because of the radiation that they were exposed to, that, mutated their DNA. So we already got all that established. What this film is gonna do is it's actually gonna get to a point where the team is very well established as a team. And we got that a little bit in the first teaser from yesterday. So already a good sign of the direction for the Fantastic Four. Now, of course, what makes this very different is the fact that it's not actually in the primary MCU timeline that we are all following. It's actually I believe in a different dimension. So that's where we have some really key, details to keep an eye on. This is one that's going to very focus on multiverse. And I think this is a team that we're going to see in the future as well. I believe they might be in Doomsday and Secret Wars. So this is going to be very key. They're going to be a very key team. They're the first family for the reason, right? Marvel's first family. I think what makes this even more exciting as well is the fact that we have this incredible casting. So Pedro Pascal, Vanessa Kirby, Joseph Quinn, Evan Ross Backrack. I mean, it's just wow. And of course, I've talked so much about my love for Pedro Pascal. I'm so excited just to see him. I mean, this guy has evolved so much. I mean, deserves it. But now it's just a matter of seeing now that, with the first footage now out, it's a matter of saying, okay, what is going to be our impressions about it? Has Marvel Studios taken the right approach to this story? And is it going to be worth it? And that's going to be the big key thing. So, and thankfully we now got the first trailer. I don't have to wait till Super Bowl for this. So yeah, I guess that kind of wraps up what I need to say. So, because I want to see the first trailer. So the first footage. So without further ado, let's get right down into the first trailer for Fantastic Four: First Steps. Oh my god, it does feel like the 1960s.
We make a point to do family dinner every week. Sunday at 7, on the dot, no matter what. We're all here.
Herbie, how's that sauce coming?
Yeah, I'll be doing that.
Okay. Is
It
this
looks
guy
clean.
good or what? I want to add a couple cloves of garlic. Not because it's not delicious, I just want to add a little bit of zip, okay?
T-5. Before we went up the first time,
Okay, there's a little bit of the
turn
origin.
invisible. Ben wasn't a rock. The best pilot in the world right here.
Yeah.
Best looking, he means.
Oh my god, the accent too.
And Johnny never caught fire.
Ben has always been a rock. Johnny is Johnny.
Hi.
And I am right here. Whatever life throws at us, we'll face it together.
Oh! There you have it, guys. There it goes. We have our first trailer for Fantastic Four, first steps. And I actually have a lot of things to kind of go around. So the first thing I want to just talk about is just the CG for Ben Grimes / The Thing. Because I know that was like a thing that a lot of people, that this was like the one thing that a lot of people were very curious about. Because I can't recall, because I know there were a lot of leaks that were going on with some of the behind the scenes and the filming, and we had actually seen the suit for The Thing. So I was very curious about how this is going to turn out, because I remember, at least for the 2015 version, there was like a lot of flack with, in terms of like the whole CG for it. So it's just like, okay, how is the Marvel version going to look like, the MCU version going to look like? And I have to say, it looks very clean. I like it. I'm not like too upset about it. I think it's a very good depiction. It's not too oversized. I think it's just about I guess I can say a lot. Like, it comes off as giving off the right size for what this team is. Because I know, at least, because in the original one, he was definitely very bulky. The one that came out in 2015, I mean, that one's just like a total mess. And then this one, it's just like, oh, this is very clean, pristine. Yes, you do see the elements that makes him the Thing, but it's not too over exaggerated. It's not too overblown. I think it's like a really, what was it? Proportion. That was what I was trying to say. Proportion. It has a right proportion. So I have to say, I think right off the bat, when I saw the Thing, that was already giving me a good sign that this is gonna be a movie that's going into the right direction. Now, of course, you can tell right from the bat, this film definitely gives off 1960s futuristic vibes. Like, you can get the sense of 1960s aesthetic. I mean, you could just see from the buildings, the settings, the fact that we have, the whole space, I guess you can say space race in this case, because like they are going into space. So you have that space influence right there, but at the same time you can see how it's very futuristic. I mean, I was looking at a little bit of Vanessa Kirby's outfit in the film, in the trailer, and you can see kind of how she's a little bit more, her outfit choice is a little bit more elevated, a little bit more clean, pristine, all that sort of stuff. It's very fashionable, so, and you can get the sense of that, so it's like, okay, great. We kind of get a little bit of snippet of what this family dynamic is. You can see how now, I was surprised that they actually do touch on the origin story. So that was, because I was like, okay, we're probably not going to go into the origins, but the trailer actually does show how they're, the radio, what was it? Sorry. The radiation exposure. There you go. I kept saying radioactive. Radiation exposure, and how that mutated their DNA and how they started to get a lot of their power. So we actually do get a snippet of that. I was really surprised to see that. I was like, oh, I thought we weren't gonna touch on that, but I guess it's just like maybe from what it looks of it, like, because I think there was even one footage where it does give off like footage archives from whatever space channel that they're coming from. So it's like, okay, well, it looks as though that could be like old footage or something, or it could be like a flashback of some sort. So but even that being the case, you can tell that this is a film that's very focused on family. Family seems to be a very big theme here, which makes a lot of sense because this is a Marvel's first family, right? And so I think that was the first thing that really kind of started to kind of scream from this trailer, is that this is going to be a movie about family and their family dynamic. And that makes a lot of sense because, again, it is the Marvel's first family. So, but now this is, of course, a very short trailer. I think the one thing I'm a little disappointed about is the fact that this is a very short trailer. But at the same time, it's like, well, this is the first trailer. When it comes to first trailers, there isn't exactly a whole lot that is presented from the actual trailer itself. It doesn't give off too much of the stories. You don't typically get a lot of dialogue. And so I wasn't expecting too much of that. And yet it's like, okay, this is a very good direction. It makes me wonder, it makes me actually yearn for more, just to see what else there could have been in this, movie. And of course, we're probably gonna get a little bit more of an idea if we got the second trailer. So, but I think but regardless of the fact that this is a very short trailer, I think it works for what it needs to do. It gives us an idea of the family's dynamic. We see how close Sue and Reed are. It does sound so that they actually have kids at this point. We did not see their kids at all in this trailer, but it does sound so that they are already married. They already have a family. They may actually have already kids, because I think I may have heard something about their kids. So if they already have kids, there's that. But you can get the sense of like how everyone's feeling. And I think what this trailer really does is it does focus on each of the characters. So the one thing I'm very curious about is Johnny Storm, because we don't get a whole lot of his character in this trailer. Like, you can see that there's something about him that's very different from the rest of them, and that's very clear. That's just how Johnny Storm is. We saw that with the Chris Evans version, we saw that with the Michael B. Jordan version, but it's just like, okay, I wondered what this version's gonna be. Like, I love Joseph Quinn. I've known him, I've watched him since Stranger Things, of course. Then there was Quiet Place. And then I think he had one more project at the end of the year. But he's a very good actor. I'm very intrigued to see what his interpretation is going to be. I do like his vibe, but I'm just very curious about him, because they did pull back on the kind of his character and what he is. And you can see, like, there was a lot of great footage. There was a lot of great footage of his character and how he's flying around. We did not get Flame On. We did not get Clobber in time. I know a lot of people were hoping that would show up in the trailer today. They did not. It looks like they're gonna hold that off to either maybe the second trailer, or heck, they're probably gonna leave that off just for the movie, just for the shock factor. Because those are two iconic lines, right, for a reason. So they're probably gonna hold that off for at least a while. But even then, I think this is a very good preview of what this movie is going to be about. It does set the tone, it does set the message, it does set what really is going to be the premise of this film and what's going to be the focus of it. Now, again, I do hope that, the whole origin part is just going to be a simple 5-minute thing, because again, we already know so much about it. Again, I'm really surprised that they actually do touch on the origins a little bit. So it's like, okay, did not expect that, because I thought we were not going to touch on it, but it does seem as though they're going to touch on it. Oh, I keep forgetting. Galactus? We see Galactus! We actually see his iconic head. Although we don't get to see the full version of the body, so probably holding off to maybe the second trailer, or heck, maybe into the movie, probably for the second trailer. But we do see a shadow of Galactus in this trailer. I was like, I see Galactus! Because I still remember the second movie. People were so excited for Galactus, and it just turned out to be such a huge disappointment for a lot of people. Now, I don't think we saw Silver Surfer. I do not think we saw Silver Surfer. I might have to look back, but I don't think I caught Silver Surfer, because I do believe that character is going to be in the film. I believe it's going to be voiced by Julia Garner, who is an Emmy-winning actress from Ozark. So, but I don't think we saw her. Did we get a visual of Paul Walter Hauser's character? I don't know if that was maybe the robot that he was voicing, so I'm gonna have to look at that up. But there are a couple things that were not in this preview that I'm gonna assume they're gonna hold off for. It's like, again, Silver Surfer being a key one. But we did get to see Galactus. We did get to see the team. We do see some of them showing off their powers. But the one exception, of course, that we did not get to see is Mr. Fantastic. Because I was like keeping an eye on, like, okay, we got Invisible Woman and her power. We got Johnny using his power, and him even going out into outer space, probably because he was flying and, getting used to, or whatever, right? And of course we saw the thing. That was like the first thing that we saw. But the one power that we did not get to see get exhibited, or at least not that I can recall right now, because I don't remember if we even got to see any sort of stretchy scenes, but it's Reed Richards' powers. I don't think we got to see him, his elastic powers. So I was like, okay, so we did not get that, so they're holding that off. I wonder if it's just a matter of trying to clean up the CG, maybe. So because the CG looks pretty clean for The Thing. The CG looks pretty clean for Invisible Woman, looks pretty clean for Johnny, but we did not get to see Mr. Fantastic. So I'm like, okay, interesting. So they held up they definitely held up a lot of things. You can tell that this trailer was intended for like a Super Bowl kind of first preview. Of course, we're not saying it today, but there's probably going to be a 30-second ad that's going to drop on Super Bowl day, so that way everyone can go jump and see the actual full trailer. But honestly, I've been waiting to see this footage for a long time. I've been seeing some of the behind the scenes footage. We kind of had an idea what their suit's going to look like because they had dropped a lot of photos here and there. That's a really cute scene, like a very cute visual where they're all just kind of like standing. So it's like, okay, this is very cute. But yeah, we don't get a whole lot in terms of like what's really at stake. Again, they did kind of hold back on the story, which again, very typical for a first trailer. But I think what they do present is enough to give us an idea, an impression of this team. I think what the direction does seem as though that they want to give a very crisp visual of what the team looks like, what their dynamic looks like. So that way it's like, okay, we know for a fact that people have seen versions of these characters before. Now let's try to present to everyone that this is what ours is going to look like and why it's going to look a little different. I think that that's probably the approach they wanted to take with this trailer, so that, instead of just being focused on story or anything like that, so it's just like, let's give you an idea of what our first family looks like. And I think for the most part they achieved it. Yes, there are a couple things I would have loved to see. Heck, I would have liked this to be at least another 15-20 seconds longer, but I think for what it is, it works as it is. It is very effective, and I will be looking forward to seeing the Fantastic Four when it comes out in July. So I think that just about wraps up all I have to say about this trailer. I think I have touched everything. So some of the team members, the aesthetic, the setting, as well as Galactus. We did not see Civil Server, and we did not get to see Mr. Fantastic's power. I might have to go back again, because again, it was a very short trailer that was going really fast. So, but yeah, let me know your thoughts now, having seen the first footage of Fantastic Four First Steps. What are your thoughts about the dynamic of this team, the first visuals, just what we got in the previews in terms of each of the characters? What are your thoughts about the Thing? Like, do you like the design that they went with for this character? What are your feelings in comparison to Michael B. Jordan and Chris Evans version? I'm not Chris Evans, sorry. The Chris Chicklett version and the Jamie Bell version. What are your thoughts about just the idea that this is like they really focus on the family message? Do you think that's going to work here? What are your thoughts about seeing the aesthetic? We know for a fact that this is going to be a much different universe, so it's not exactly in the universe that we are familiar with. What are your thoughts about, seeing just a shadow of Galactus? What are your expectations for that? Do you think that this trailer was effective? Do you think that this was enough to make you want to go and see Fantastic Four when it comes out in July, or do you think you need a little bit more? And if there's anything that you feel like this trailer was missing, I want to hear your thoughts. Let me know your thoughts below, and make sure to like and subscribe.